You don't have a money problem. You have a relationship pattern with money that reflects your beliefs about your ability to receive, about safety, about worthiness, about the role of your divinity in creating what you want. When you shift the beliefs that make up that relationship pattern, now you will shift your bank account. It's an output, it's an end result. And not only will you shift your bank account, but how you shift your bank account will happen with more ease and more joy. And I want to be clear here. This isn't about sitting on the couch and hoping you'll get more money by doing affirmations and visualizations and all the spiritual tools. Life on planet Earth takes action. And when that action comes as a result of being in right relationship with receiving, you are 1,000-fold more effective with the action that you do take. When you aren't in right relationship with receiving, then your actions are either spotty in their effectiveness or they're undertaken with so much extra effort that you burn out. I'm Jennifer Bloom, Soul Abundance Guide, and I work with spiritually savvy business owners who are so frustrated because even with all the action they're taking, even with all of the spiritual tools that they're using, they're still not getting the money that they want. So I help these business owners unearth the deeper stories that are keeping them stuck and help them transform them so that they can then create brand new energy and brand new capacity to experience more abundance, more goodness than they've ever had before. If all of that is talking to you, you can take the first step in uncovering your deeper stories at abundanceheartbreak.com. Okay. All right, so today is the first episode in my new series, which is called Receiving Rewired. And this series is really intended for people who are ready to stop chasing after money, who are just exhausted by trying to figure out what's the next thing I need to do? What's the next thing I need to do? What do I need to do to get that money in my bank account? So to stop doing all of that and instead start to receive money and really abundance in all ways, because we tend to talk about abundance as simply money, but it's more than that. Being able to have something um, happen that just makes your heart sing. A great connection, a great conversation, being in an amazing place that you've never been before, witnessing a beautiful piece of art, any of that, right? Any of that is abundance. And when we chase after money and we blind ourselves to the other aspects of abundance, again, that's when burnout comes in. So Receiving Rewired is all about learning how to receive from a place of softness, receive from a place of deep inner alignment with our own divinity, and then being able to have a life that allows us to have a flow of what we want coming without feeling like we're pushing and efforting and having to make it happen. There are going to be 4 episodes in this series, and we're going to dive into energetic patterns that block abundance. Things like unhealed worthiness wounds. We're going to talk about money and safety beliefs. We're going to talk about the fractured trust in the divine. And again, this isn't about doing more. It isn't about not doing anything, but it isn't about doing more. It's about becoming the version of you who naturally receives support, naturally receives wealth and goodness. So if manifestation techniques haven't worked out the way that you've hoped, this is a series to really dive into, right? Okay. So you're here with me looking for answers because this, honestly, this isn't the first time that you've tried creating more money through inner work, right? You've done the manifestation stuff like vision boards and affirmations, and maybe even tried to do inspired actions. And my guess is that it's worked for you a bit, right? You've had times where you've used tools like that and you've had more flow, but then the flow dries up and you're sort of back into that place of needing, yearning, wanting. And from there, you get spurred into more action, but you're coming at it from a place of worry, from a place of fear, from a place of pushing, striving, lack, scarcity. None of those states are helpful to being in a receiving flow. Right? And again, if doing more, if action for action's sake were the answer, you'd be rich in all the ways you want to be rich. Right? The wealth would be present because you're good at doing the doing. You're good at doing the action. You're willing to do whatever action is put in front of you. Right? But because that action isn't getting you where you want to go, it warrants a look at something, right? Things like affirmations and visualizations are helpful. They really are. I use them myself on a daily basis, but they are surface operators when it comes to receiving. It's a bit like trying to grow a wildflower garden by just ripping open a bag of seeds and throwing them on the ground. And before you've even prepped the soil, before you've watered the soil, without pulling any weeds, and just sort of shrugging your shoulders and going, well, let's see what happens. Okay. The internal soil that you plant your affirmations and visualizations in must be supportive of your goals. Your brain, your nervous system, your subconscious part of your brain, all of that makes up your garden's soil, right? That's the internal part of what is happening in terms of what you're creating. If your subconscious believes that receiving money or receiving in general makes you unsafe or selfish or judged or abandoned, your results are going to get sabotaged every time. The actions that you take will not lead you to what you want. Okay? Manifesting isn't just about calling in what you want. And let's call it something actually different than manifestation. Manifestation is one of those phrases that I think we come to when we're at our wits' end about action. And then all of a sudden we learn about manifesting. Oh, I just need to think it into being. And that's not wrong, but it's so much bigger than just saying the words. I like to think about it as soul abundance, because what we're really reaching for here, beyond simply getting what we want, is we want to get what we want in a way that's completely in alignment with who we are. And money is so much bigger than simply dollars and cents. Money is a whole relationship. So part of that internal framework, part of that internal garden soil that we need to have in order to create what we want is our soul money relationship. Okay? Your relationship with money is a mirror. That mirror isn't simply reflecting your spending habits, right? It's not about budget. It's not about spending. I mean, yes, those things are important and deserve their own conversation. But simply looking at budgets and spending habits and spending less, spending more, knowing what you want, all of that, if you do that without the inner work, it's like that taking that bag of seeds and throwing it on the ground and hoping for the best. Okay? Your relationship with money is reflecting your relationship with your own divinity. It's reflecting your relationship with love and safety. It's reflecting what you believe you deserve to receive. Okay? So that's the missing part out of manifestation, is going to this deeper level of looking at your soul money relationship. And this is something that I talk about a lot because it is the absolute foundation of this way of creating what you want. It is the foundation of being able to move from a completely efforting model to a model of receiving. Right? So let's dive more deeply into the soul money relationship. There are three parts, three aspects to your soul money relationship. I like to think about the soul money relationship as a great big table, and there are three players sitting at it. Who's at the table? You're at the table, the divine's at the table, and physical money is at the table. Of those three players at the table, you are the only one with free will. You are absolutely the leader of this relationship. Money is a physical representation of the divine, right? It has no free will. The divine follows your guidance. The divine cannot act on you in a way that you are not asking for or open to receive. You are the only part of that relationship that can create any change. The output that comes from those three players at the table is what you allow. The divine and physical money are like, I'm on board with whatever. I'll do whatever it is you're asking of me. I'll follow your direction. But to toss another analogy in here, a lot of times we think that we have our foot on the gas asking for what we want. But in the background, we've got our foot on the brake as well. Yes, I want more. And then the brake pedal comes on. Is it safe? Am I going to get overworked? Are people going to like me? Am I going to change? Right? We'll get into that more at a later time. But again, I want you to really clearly feel and understand that you are the leader of your relationship. Now, within the soul money relationship, with those three different players sitting at the table, there are different dynamics between each of the players. So first of all, let's think about you and money. Do you treat money like a partner you don't trust but desperately need? So for example, do you find yourself clutching at money? Do you find yourself completely over-efforting, trying too hard? Do you find yourself in that space of being afraid of losing money? Well, I can do this or I can't do that because I have to have money in my bank account. When this dynamic between you and money is wonky, You could be in that space of overthinking, like not being able to make a decision because you're afraid that money isn't going to be there for you. You could find yourself doing too much, just action after action after action after action, launching program, launching a program, coming up with a new JV partnership. Oh, like just over so much, but not grounded action. Like I'm in a space of scarcity, so I'm gonna work really hard to find all of these different options. Or if that relationship between you and physical money is really wonky and you've over efforted, you might find yourself in the completely opposite situation where you freeze. So instead of going into that fight response and doing, you freeze and you can't make a decision. You have ideas, but you can't actually follow through on them. When that when that part of the soul money relationship is in alignment, what you're going to feel is a deep trust of money. You'll find that you get really settled in your body in that space of knowing that when you ask and you act, you receive. It's not about proving, it's not about testing, it's just absolute trust that money has your back. So let me invite you to think about a relationship that you have in your life where that friend, that partner who 1000% always has your back, and not just has your back, but to the depths of your being that you can trust them. Right? It's like a non-issue. I mean, everybody's human. Things aren't perfect 1000% of the time, but in your heart that this person has your back. That's what you want this aspect of the soul money relationship to look like. And the reason you want that is because you want to be able to step into an action without having to worry. You want to be able to step into launching a program knowing that money is going to flow. Okay. And yes, there's due diligence to do in relationship to your business. But if you want to feel really solid in trusting that when you take action, money follows. Okay? So that's one of the interconnected pieces of the soul money relationship. The second one is between money and the divine. This is a little bit strange for people. I've told the story in previous lives about my client who literally couldn't even think of money and the divine being in the same room with each other. That there was just that physical money carried too much ick energy, and that why would the divine have anything to do with that? Do you believe that money and spirituality can truly coexist? Is there some part of you that believes that you have to choose? Right? Questions you get to ask yourself here are, does money connect you with God, divine, universe, whatever your word is for that which is bigger than us? What does money do to the connection with the divine? And this is a tricky question because money has become, I don't even know the right verb to put in there, but money has really been moved so far from its core roots. The roots of money are divine. the divine shows up in physical ways all the time, and money is one of those ways. All money is a physical representation of divine energy. But we've corrupted it. We humans have corrupted money in significant ways. And you can see that playing out across the planet right now. But as individuals, we get to choose. We get to choose how we understand money. And every one of us who is able to reconnect money with divinity starts a new wave of understanding money on this planet. When you can really embody the understanding that money is divine, it's so much easier to sit at the table with the divine and with money. It's so much easier to begin to say, oh, right, I now understand that I am part of this triad that is the soul money relationship. I understand that I'm the leader here because I get to know that money is playing by rules of the divine. When we look at the corrupt vision of money and what that corrupted vision is, that it's all about power, that it's about who's most important. When we sit in that space, you feel like you yourself have no power. How can you as an individual have any sort of impact on how money flows when it's playing by all of these human rules that are really pretty gross and nasty? Technical terms, right? But when you are able to come and sit in that space of money's divine, I'm a drop of the divine, money's a drop of the divine. Now you can move into that space of, I have sovereignty here in my relationship with money. I do get to lead this relationship. Okay? That's what the aligned bit of between money and divine looks like, is really truly in that embodied understanding of money's divinity. Right? And there's a lot to look at here. What was your religious upbringing? What did you learn about how wealth either connects you or separates you from God? There's whole traditions that say we have to let go of everything in order to know God. And I disagree with that. Everything that's around us is a creation of God, including money. So when we can reconnect with money in that spiritual way, then we are actually acknowledging our own divinity. And when we approach money from that place, we no longer need to grab as much money as we possibly can. We can know what we want and we can receive it, but it doesn't have to be, I'm going to take all the money. I'm going to take all the things. I'm going to grab all of the things, because if I don't grab them, somebody else will. Right? That's one of those corruptions of money. Right? So even when we step into that space of saying, I'm the leader of my money relationship, it then doesn't become a money grab. It simply becomes, okay, I'm going to flow what I want and need. Okay. All right. So we've already touched a bit on it, but the third interconnection is between you and the divine. My question to you is, what's the relationship like between you and the divine? Do you feel your own drop of divinity within you? Or is the divine, God, universe, nature something completely separate from you that you're kind of always trying to measure up to? What do you believe about how the universe wants to support you? If you don't hold an inherent understanding that the universe really truly wants to support you, how can you ever open up to receive? It's always going to be about efforting, right? So, difficulty receiving is often at its root a fractured connection with Source. Did you learn that support is conditional? Did you learn that support for you is something that's a scarce commodity? When you truly, again, when you embody that understanding of your drop of divinity, when you embody that knowing that Source has your back, that the God has your back, divine has your back, then you can ease your own actions. It becomes less frenetic. Action becomes less frenetic. Action becomes less chaotic. You can choose your actions in a way that allows you to actually receive from those actions. When you don't trust the divine to show up and it's just you, that's when you start to be in the hustle space, the over efforting space. Okay. When these three dynamics between you and money, between money and the divine, and between you and the divine, when those three dynamics are misaligned, your nervous system doesn't feel safe receiving. So no matter how many manifesting tools you use, you accidentally end up holding the door shut to what you want. Does that make sense? I'm really curious about what you're taking away from this conversation. Drop a note in the comment section, please, about what you're noticing. What's coming up for you as you listen to these different interrelationships that make up your soul money relationship? Okay. And that, of course, leads us to really the next question, which is, how do you know where your receiving is breaking down? Okay. So the first question to ask yourself is, what emotion shows up for me when money doesn't show up? Or what emotion, let's say it the opposite way, what emotion shows up when money does come? Is there a sense of relief? Is there a sense of, oh, finally, it worked? When money doesn't show up, is there a feeling of shame, unworthiness, fear? So that's the first question. And then the next question, which you get to ask yourself, is, which of the three relationships that make up my soul money relationship feels the most distant or broken? And you know what? These aren't necessarily easy questions to ask yourself. I'm going to invite you to look at that, though, from a space of non-blame, non-judgment. This is about creating clarity. You can't fix what you don't know is broken. So which of those relationships feels the most distant to you? And just take a note of that. Okay. All right. So the life that you crave, the ease, the spaciousness, the overflow, the abundance of goodness, can't be hustled into existence. When you do it through effort, there's always going to be that feeling of, have I done enough? Is it going to stay? What's the next thing I need to do? And there isn't enough money in the world that can go into your bank account that's going to ease those fears. The only way those fears get relieved is through learning how to receive, is being able to step into the trust of that soul money relationship. So let's do a quick exercise. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and take a nice deep breath. And I want you to imagine that you're standing out in a field. And right in front of you are two circles. And as you step into so go ahead and step into that first circle. And you realize as you step into that first circle, this first circle represents a wonky soul money relationship. So in this circle, you're feeling as if you are creating on your own, that it is your effort that gets you what you want, that you only deserve to receive once you have given and given and given. In this circle, you are disconnected from your drop of the divine, however you would describe that. And just take a moment and feel that. It is a kind of a little bit of chaotic. It's certainly not, it's like a jagged, the way I experience it is it's kind of a jagged energy. It's sort of a, got to keep moving, hustling, moving forward, kind of need to do it, have to do it. How am I going to make this happen? Kind of an energy. And from this space, think of a goal that you have of what you want to create. And notice between you and achieving that goal, what does that path look like to you? Is it clear? Does it feel smooth? Do you trust that you'll get there? All right. So now take a step out of that circle and step and plant your feet in the circle next to you, in the circle next to it. In that circle, you are an embodied leader of your soul money relationship. You know the divine has your back because you are divinity. So you are one of the same, and you receive support. Money to you is simply a energy to play with because it's divine energy. And there's so much of it. It's incalculable, if that's even a word. Right? Like there's so much around, you couldn't possibly have all of it. It's all there. It's like oxygen. It's just here. You feel the sacredness of it and reverence for it. And it's so present that your whole system relaxes. And now think again about that goal of what you want to receive. What does the path to that look like? Does it seem achievable? Does it seem doable? How are you going to feel along the path to that? When you do your tools like affirmation and visualizations in this space, what does that net you? Where does that come from? Okay. All right. So go ahead and take a step off of that circle, and let's thank this field for playing with us. And I'm curious, what did you notice? For me, when I step into those two circles, the one with a broken up, fractured soul money relationship, just it literally does feel chaotic. And it feels like the path between where I am and where I want to be is it's so convoluted. Like it starts out and then it goes another way and then it goes another way and then it dead ends and then there's another path and another, right? Whereas the one with the soul money relationship that is intact, it's not necessarily a straight line, but pretty close. It's and it takes how long it takes because there's a trust that it's like it's pulling me towards it. Right? So it's so important when you want to be someone who receives, it's so important to get this soul money relationship reintegrated in a way that is accurate. Okay? You don't need to do more. You get to step into your soul money relationship. Okay? The way forward into having what you want isn't about chasing. It's about really being able to hold it, to hold the possibility, to hold the knowing that it is yours. Okay. All right. If this hits something in you, if you're ready to receive rather than simply create strategy, then this is your invitation to take a deeper step into your personal soul money relationship. I'm going to invite you to do one of two things. If you know that you are ready to heal this soul money relationship so that you can be someone who simply receives goodness, then reach out and let's do a soul money clarity call and let's talk about how I can support you into that space. If you are more in the space of, I'm kind of curious, I'm not quite ready to step in, but I'm really curious about what might be standing between me and that soul money relationship, I'm going to invite you to go to abundanceheartbreak.com and download the integrative exercise, because what that's going to show you is where your misalignment is showing up. All right. Wonderful. All right. Also, stay tuned for next week, because next week we're going to start talking about energy leaks of unworthiness and how that impacts your ability to receive. I can't wait to hear what you thought and what came out of today's call for you. Please leave me a comment. And until we meet again, I offer you prosperous blessings. Take care, everyone.